Class, our discussion for today is about IFRS 15 or revenue from contracts with customers, and we will discuss the following. Number 1, LTCC or long-term construction contracts. Number 2, franchise. Number 3, consignment. And number 4, installment sales. So medyo marami tayong i-discuss for today. Now, IFRS 15. This standard replaced IAS 18 or revenues, IAS 11 construction contracts, SIC 31, IFRIC 13, 15, and 18. So maraming ni-replace yung IFRS 15. Bakit, sir? Kasi class, yung old standards na to, medyo mahirap siyang i-apply in actual practice. So maraming practitioners na nagre-reklamo kasi nahihirapan sila na i-applyan. And also, may mga provisions dyan na sometimes conflicting. Okay? Now, to simplify, yung standards for revenue recognition, para isa lang yung i-follow, and also to fix yung mga inconsistencies, nag-issue ng new standard which is IFRS 15. Okay? Now, pag binasa mo yung standards na yung class, medyo mahirap intindihan kasi technical masyado. Okay? Pero yung pinaka-important na concept doon is the use of the 5-step model framework. Okay? Ito yung framework or yung guide natin in recognizing revenue. So, ganito gagawin natin class. So, analyze muna natin yung steps. Okay? And then later, magbibigay ako ng example, i-apply natin yung framework na yan. Gets? Okay. Sige. Let's go to step number 1. Identify the contract with the customer. So, underline ko yung mga key points dito. Contract. Step number 2, identify the performance obligations, or let's call it PO, in the contract. Determine the transaction price, let's call it TP. And then step 4, allocate the transaction price to the performance obligations. And the last step is recognize revenue as the performance obligations are fulfilled. Now, ito yung 5 steps. Para mas ma-appreciate natin yan, later meron akong example sa inyo. But IFRS 15 and this framework, ang pinakamalaking impact niyan is those industries that offer bundle of product and service. Okay? Product and service. Ang pinakamagandang example dito, class, mga telecommunications company or telecom, sa kanila yung malaking impact ng IFRS 15. Okay? Let's have an illustration. For example, class, gusto kong magkaroon ng bagong cellphone. Okay? Pumunta ako sa Globe. And then, gusto kong mag-avail ng postpaid plan. Okay? Postpaid plan. And then, namili ako ng phone sa naka-display doon. So, parang gusto ko yung iPhone 13. iPhone 13 and gusto ko rin class na may data. Let's say 10 gig per month. May data. Gusto ko rin yung only calls and text. Ayan, only calls and text to all networks. Ayan. And then yung mga naka-postpaid plan sa inyo, di ba, meron pa yan minsan, pili ka ng, let's say, okay, may free 1 gig na Facebook app per month, o kaya 5 gig na YouTube. Yan, mga ganun yan eh. Pero ako, let's say gusto ko iPhone 13, and may data, and only calls and texts. Okay? So ngayon, yung plan na yan, yung price yan is, let's say, 2,500 per month. And yung lock-in period ko kay Globe is 24 months. It means, magbayad ako kay Globe, 2,500 per month for the next 24 months. Okay? So, yun yung postpaid plan natin. So, class, as you notice, yung iPhone 13 is a product. Tama? Product yan. Yung data, only calls and text, services naman yan. Tama? So, yan ang example natin ng company that offers a bundle of product and service. Okay? So, yan malaki yung impact. So, tingnan natin, class. Sa point of view tayo ni Globe, syempre, revenue recognition eh. Now, para may comparison, tingnan natin, if ang gagamitin natin dyan, yung old standards, ito ang lalagay, under IAS 18, sa books ni Globe, ganito lang niya i-record yan. Let's say, January 1 ako nag-subscribe for that iPhone. Gagawin lang ni Globe, ibubook niya, debit, accounts receivable, credit revenue, 2,500. O, ganun lang. Pag binil ako ni Globe, ayan, debit AR, credit revenue. So let's say this is January 31. Every end of the month ako binibill, okay? AR revenue, 2.5. So every month, ganyan lang yung recording ni Globe. So madali lang, yun yung IAS 18. Now, IFRS 15, kailangan sundin natin yung 5-step model framework. O, apply natin. So doon tayo sa step 1, identify the contract with the customer. Ano yung contract? Well, meron ng postpaid plan. Tama? So, ang gagawin ko dyan, magpipirma ako. Okay, nandun sa plan, nandun yung terms and conditions, nandun din yung, well, yung basically, iPhone 13, data, and the cost and text. So, nandun lahat yan, yung details. Okay? So, wala tayong problema sa step 1. Madali lang yan. May contract tayo with Globe. Next is, identify the performance obligations. Plus, ano yung, again, point of view ni Globe, ano yung performance obligations niya? Ano yung obligation niya sa akin? Well, dalawa. First is, kailangan niyang i-deliver yung iPhone 13 sa akin. Tama? That's the first obligation. Number 2, kailangan niya mag-provide sa akin ng data, only calls, and text for the next 24 months. Okay? So, dalawa yung performance obligations na na-identify natin sa contract. Next is, determine the transaction price. Well, since magbabayad ako ng 2.5 per month, so lagyan natin dito, 2.5 per month times ilan? 24 months yung lock-in period natin, ilan ba yan? 2.5 times 24, that is 60,000. Ito yung transaction price natin. Okay, gets? Step 4, allocate the transaction price to the performance obligations. Allocate daw natin yung 60,000 dun sa dalawa na yan. And we recognize the revenue. Okay? Sir, paano natin i-allocate? Ganito tandaan nyo, class. Pag mag-allocate ka, ang gagamitin mo dyan is the standalone selling prices. Okay? Standalone selling prices. Ano ibig sabihin yan, sir? Ganito yan. Pag binili mo si iPhone 13 separately, hindi ka nakaplan. Okay? Binili mo lang siya sa store. Standalone yun. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Ngayon naman, yung data, only calls and text, ibig sabihin ng standalone, di ba pwede ka mag-register dyan? Okay? May ita-type ka sa phone mo, may sendan ka. Pwede ka mag-register, di ba? Only calls and text, tapos may data. Tama? Yun yun. Ibig sabihin ng standalone. Pag separately, in-avail mo sila, ang tawag natin doon, standalone. Selling prices. So, ganito yung class. Apply natin yung step 4 and 5. Lagay natin yung performance obligations, dalawa. Performance obligations, una, deliver iPhone 13. Lagay ko na lang iPhone 13. Pangalawa, data na lang. Lagay ko, data. Only calls and text. Okay. Ano yung standalone nila? Standalone selling prices, let's say, pag binili ko si iPhone 13 separately, ang price niya is 50,000. Okay? Ngayon naman, yung data, let's say, separate ako nag-avail niyan, let's say, 1,000 per month. So, 1,000 per month times 24 months, this is 24,000. Total nating class is 74,000. Ito yung gagamitin mo para i-prorate yung transaction price. Okay? Now, ano yung kailangan natin i-allocate? 60,000, tama? 60,000. So, yung revenue allocation natin, ganito class. 60,000 times 50 over 74. Tingnan natin. 60,000 times 50 divided by 74. 4,540. Okay? So, 40,540. 60,000 times 24 over 74. You have 19,460. Okay, so ganyan yung allocation natin. Alright? Now class, ito yung pinaka-important dyan. Dun sa step number 5, recognize revenue as the performance obligations are fulfilled. Dalawa yan. May tinatawag tayo na i-recognize natin yung revenue over time or at a point in time. Sir, ano yung difference yan? Pag sinabing overtime, over the life of the contract, which is 24 months. Okay? Pag sinabing at a point in time, 100% i-recognize mo na agad. Okay? So, apply natin yan. Now, dalawa yung obligations natin, iPhone 13 and yung data. Tama ba, class, yung iPhone 13? Nung nag-sign ako, binigay na sa akin agad yung iPhone. Tama? May control na ako sa iPhone. Ibig sabihin, class, yung performance obligation number 1 natin na yan, yung iPhone 13, i-recognize natin at a point in time. Ibig sabihin, 100%. Recognize natin siya sa month of January. For example, January ako nag-avail. Ngayon, class, yung data na yan, tama ba kailangan i-provide sa akin yan ni Globe for the next 24 months? So, ibig sabihin, kailangan kong i-recognize yan over time. Okay? Over time, over the life of the contract, which is 24 months. Gets? Okay, so for the month of January, ganito gagawin ko, class. Sa month of January, ang i-recognize ko na revenue, January 31, 40,540, and yung 19,460, di-divide yan by 24. Okay, so tingnan natin. 19,460 divided by 24, that is 811 per month. So this one is 811 per month Okay, so 40,540 plus 811, this is equal to, so 40,540 plus 811, 41,351. 41,351. So yung magiging entry ko dito, class, sa point of view ni Globe, debit, accounts receivable, pasimplihin na natin yung entry, credit revenue, 41,351. Okay, so tingnan mo, sobrang laki ng difference. Dito, sa IAS 18, 2.5 lang, yung na-recognize mo na revenue. Dito naman sa IFRS 15, yung revenue na na-recognize natin for month 1 is 41,351. Okay? Now, sa next month, sa month of Feb, under IAS 18, 2.5 ulit. Tama? Pero dito, class, sa IFRS 15, 811 na lang. Kasi na-recognize mo na ito eh. Okay? So, tandaan mo, whether IAS 18 or IFRS 15, yung total na i-recognize mo na revenue sa life of the contract is 60,000. Walang problema sa total amount. Okay? Same pa rin yan, 60,000. Pagkakaiba lang sa timing. Gets? Sa January, malaki agad yung i-recognize mo. Sa IAS 18, 2.5 yan every month. Gets mo ba yan? So, yun yung conclusion natin. So, ulitin ko, class. Huwag kayong malito sa IFRS 15. Madali lang to. Actually, pwede mo lang kalimutan yung IAS 18. Wala na yan sa board exam. Ulitin ko, ang key points no, sa IFRS 15, kailangan malaman natin yung performance obligations. Dito sa example natin, dalawa. Deliver yung iPhone 13 and mag-provide ng data. Alamin natin yung transaction price, 60,000 kasi 2.5 per month for the next 24 months. And then, once na-satisfy na yung obligation, once na-fulfill na yung obligation, dun tayo pwede mag-recognize ng revenue. Okay? Sa iPhone 13, nung nag-sign ako ng contract, binigay na sa akin yung phone. Na-fulfill na yung obligation, na-deliver na sa akin. Therefore, 100% yung recognition natin. Okay? Nakuha ba yan? Dito naman, yung obligation ni Globe for the next 24 months. So, hindi ko to pwedeng i-recognize agad sa January. Dapat i-divide ko by 24. Kaya nakuha ko yung 811, in-add ko siya, 41,351, yun yung i-recognize for the month of January. Sa month of Feb, 811. Month of March, hanggang matapos yung contract, 811. Gets? Okay. Ulitin ko, we recognize revenue as we fulfill the performance obligation. So, yun yung magiging key concept natin pag sasagutan natin or discuss natin yung 4 topics na to. Okay? Sige. Now, class, some theory questions muna. No? Muna tayo sa sagutan natin yung first 3 theory questions do sa handouts natin. Apply lang natin yan, yung na-discuss natin so far. Okay, number 1. Under IFRS 15, what is the revenue or the recognition principle of revenue arising from contracts with customers? A. The revenue shall be recognized by the entity when the contract price has already been received and the period of refund has already expired. No, hindi yan yung principle natin. B. The revenue shall be recognized by the entity when it is probable that there will be inflow of future economic benefits to the entity and the revenue can be measured reliably. Nope. C. The revenue shall be recognized by the entity at the point of perfection of the contract with the customer. Actually, class, yung A, B, and C na yan yung old standard natin. IAS 18 yan. Okay? Hindi na yan yung sasagot mo. Sa IFRS 15, dog tayo dyan. The revenue shall be recognized by the entity when or as the entity satisfies the performance obligation by transferring the promised goods or service to the customer. Class, analyze ka natin yung choice D. The revenue shall be recognized by the entity when. Pag yung when, ibig sabihin nun, yung at a point in time. Ito yun. Yung or as the entity satisfies the performance, yun yung overtime. Okay? By transferring the promised goods. Ano yung promised goods? Sa example natin, yun yung iPhone 13. Or services to the customer. Ano yung services? Yun yung data or yung only calls and text. Okay, so answer for number 1 is dog. Okay, number 2. According to IFRS 15, what is the accounting treatment of the transaction price when a contract with the customer has multiple performance obligations? Parang yung kanina, may dalawa tayong performance obligations. Paano ginawa natin? Well, pre-rate natin based on the standalone selling prices. Class, ano ulit yung standalone? Pag separately binili mo si iPhone 13, pag separately nag-avail ka ng data. Okay, ang tawag natin doon, standalone. Tingnan natin. A, the transaction price shall be recognized as revenue of the most important performance obligation, no? The transaction price shall be allocated equally, no? The transaction price shall be recognized as revenue only at the end of completion, no? Dog yung sagot dito. The transaction price shall be allocated to the different performance obligations by reference to their standalone selling prices. Okay, pre-rate natin. Okay, so dog yung sagot sa number 2. Okay, number 3, and under PFR 15, the goods or service is considered distinct. Itong dalawa, distinct yan. Okay, paano siya magiging considered as distinct? Statement 1, the customer can benefit from it either on its own or together with the other resources that are readily available to the customer. Okay, now, yung sa statement 1 na yan, yung the customer can benefit from it either on its own or together, ganito yung class. Ang binigay na example sa IFRS 15, pag pwede mo raw ibenta separately, okay? Yung performance obligations, ang tawag natin dyan, distinct sila. Ito, pwede mo naman ibenta separately yung iPhone 13. Pwede naman hindi naka-postpaid yan, tama? Pwede ka rin mag-avail ng data lang. Okay? So since pwede mo silang i-offer separately sa customers, considered as distinct sila. Pag distinct, separate yung analysis nila. Kaya dito, separate natin in-analyze yan. Nag-allocate tayo. Okay? So true yung statement 1. Statement 2, the good or service is separately identifiable from other goods or services. Obviously, we can easily identify alin sa iPhone 13, alin yung data. Okay? So statements 1 and 2, ito yung criteria class para masabi na distinct yung goods and services. Okay. Now, yung theories 4 and 5, mamaya yan. Para mas madaling mas madaling sagutan niya kapag may na-discuss natin yung LTCC. Okay. O, sige, let's go to yung first. Actually, overview pa lang yan. No? So, doon tayo sa first topic natin. Long-term construction contracts. Lagay ko dito, LTCC. Okay. Long-term construction contracts. Ano ba yung examples yan? For example, class, magko-construct tayo ng office building. Okay, ano pa? Condominium building. Construct tayo ng hotels. Construct tayo ng stadiums, mga expressways, yung mga matatagal i-construct. Okay? Yun yung example of long-term construction contracts. And take note, class, dapat dyan, yung construction period mo is more than 1 year. Tama? More than 1 year. Kaya nga tinawag na long-term. Diba? Sa accounting, pag long-term, ibig sabihin, more than 1 year. Okay? So, okay, yung construction period. And also take note, class, very important, yung point of view natin dito is tayo yung contractor. Or let's say tayo yung construction company. Okay? Now, sa LTCC, kailangan din natin, class, i-apply yung 5-step model framework. In fact, sa lahat na yan, basta revenue recognition, isa lang standard na i-apply mo. Isang framework lang. Ayan, yung 5-step model framework. Tingnan natin, class. Let's have an illustration para mas madali natin maintindihan yan. So, let's say, class, si DC Builders. Ayan, DC Builders. Siya yung contractor. Okay? Siya yung construction company. So, layo dito, contractor. And then, may client siya. Let's say, si Mr. X. So, si Mr. X, gusto niya magpagawa ng condominium. No? And ang gusto niya, 5-story na condo. Ayan. So, si Mr. X, basically, siya yung client natin or siya yung customer. Tanda mo, point of view tayo ng contractor, ni DC Builder. So, ganito yan. Drawing tayo. Ito yung plano. Okay? So, dito yung condo, 5-story. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayan. Ayan yung kontrata nila. Ngayong class, si DC Builder, si contractor at si client, nagpirmahan sila. Okay. So, ito yung kontrata natin. And kukonstruct ka ng 5-story condominium building. And then, ang contract price natin is 100 million. Okay. And then, kukonstruct to for 2 years. Yung construction period, syempre, dapat more than 1 year. Ayan. So, 2 years i-construct yung condominium building. Okay. So, analyze natin, class, using the 5-step model framework. Di ko na i-rewrite, ha. Dito na natin lagay. Step 1. Identify the contract with the customer. Well, walang problema yan. Merong construction contract. Okay? Merong construction contract, which is, eto, yung pinirmahan nila. Okay, ito yung contract nila. We're in, nakalagay dyan. Magko-construct ng 5-story condominium building. Ang fee, okay, ang contract price is 100 million and i-construct siya for the next 2 years. Okay? Ayan. Number 2, identify the performance obligations. Class, take note, ha. Point of view tayo ni contractor. So, ano yung obligation ni contractor? Well, basically, to construct the condominium building in 2 years. Tama? Yun yung first. And sabihin natin, kasama na dyan lahat. Design, construction, finishing, lahat na. Bahala dyan si DC Builders. Alright? So, yun yung performance obligations. Number 3, determine natin yung transaction price. Well, dito, madaling determine transaction price kasi kitang-kita mo naman sa contract na yung transaction price is 100 million. Ang tawag din natin dyan is the contract price. Okay. Number 4 and number 5. Number 4, allocate natin. And number 5, i-recognize natin. Okay? Allocate natin yung transaction price, yung 100 million sa performance obligations, and i-recognize natin siya as the performance obligations are fulfilled. So, pwedeng dito, allocate natin, recognize natin over 2 years. Okay? Which is yung construction period. Got it? O, yan. Yan yung application ng 5-step model framework natin. Ngayong class, in accounting for long-term construction contracts, merong 2 acceptable methods. Dalawa yan. Depende. Number 1, tignan mo muna. If with reliable estimates or without reliable estimates. With and without. Pag with, ang gagamitin natin class is the percentage of completion method or POC. Shorten ko na lang POC or the percentage of completion method. Now, pag without reliable estimates, ang i-apply natin class is the zero profit method or ZPM. Okay? ZPM method, ang ibang tawag dyan is cost recovery method or CRM. Okay? ZPM or CRM. Now, ZPM na lang itawag natin. Okay? So, ulitin ko, dalawa yung pwede. Depende. With reliable estimates or without reliable estimates. Pag POC method, with reliable. Pag without, zero profit method tayo. Okay? Now, pag percentage of completion, tandaan mo class, again, depende kung ilang percent na complete yung condominium building sa illustration natin. Okay? Dalawa yung pwede nating basis of the estimates. Dalawa. May tinatawag tayo na input measures and we have the output measures. Ano sir example ng input measures? For example, class, costs incurred. O kaya naman yung labor hours na na-spend natin or machine hours. Okay, so basically, yung input dun sa construction. Okay, ito yung mga examples natin. Pero class, ang madalas ginagamit sa board exam and in actual practice is the costs incurred. Okay? Actually, may term dyan, yung cost-to-cost method. Cost-to-cost method. Ito yung i-apply natin later sa handouts. Okay? So again, ito yung ginagamit in the board exam and in actual practice. Ngayon, pwede rin yung output measures. So, ano example niyan? For example, class, yung mga estimates or surveys. For example, sinabi ni engineer or ni architect, okay, after year 1, okay, so 20% complete na tayo. Year 2, 40% complete na tayo. Yun. Mga estimates or surveys yan ng engineers or ng architects. Or pwede rin naman, class, pag nakaka-achieve ng milestones. For example, year 1, natapos yung first floor. Ibig sabihin, 1/5 na, 20% na yan. Nakuha mo yan? So, ganun siya. Depende sa milestones. So, again, pwedeng input measures, pwedeng output measures, pero again, usually ginagamit cost incurred using the cost-to-cost method. Alright, now, mamaya, sa handouts natin, i-apply natin yung class, no? Yung computation yan. And yung mga journal entries, papakita ko sa inyo. Take note, class, na yung percentage of completion method, depende sa completion. Okay? Depende si contractor depende sa fulfillment niya ng obligations. Okay? Depende sa completion ng construction, basically. So, it means, under percentage of completion method, i-recognize natin yung revenue over time. Okay? So, dito siya. Over time yan. Pag naman, zero profit method, later, makikita nyo sa handouts natin, ang application yan is at a point in time. Okay? At a point in time. At a point in time. Pero class, actually, in practice, laging ito yung ginagamit. Kasi, syempre, madali namang i-estimate yan. Diba? Kasi, let's say, si DC Builders, okay, mag-o-offer siya ng 100 million. Syempre, dapat alam niya na kung kikita siya or hindi. Okay? So, kaya niyang i-estimate kung gaano katagal yung construction, ano yung progress. So, percentage completion method yung ginagamit in practice. Okay? Pero syempre, illustrate din natin mamaya yung zero profit method. Okay, so malapit na matapos. Ngayong class, kung babalik tayo kay DC Builders, again, kailangan niya mag-recognize ng revenue. Tama? Kasi si client, pag point of view ka ni client, madali lang yan. Ang entries niya sa books, let's say, magre-record siya. Tama ba? May building yan. Tama? Debit building, credit cash, pag nagpagawa siya. Okay? Every end of the year, magdi-depreciate siya. Depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation. So, walang problema. So, kay client, recognize siya ng asset, recognize ng expense. Kay DC Builder, sa contractor, which is yun yung point of view natin, kailangan mag-recognize siya ng revenue. Now, class, how much yung i-recognize niya? Yung contract price, let's call it CP, is 100 million. Tama? Ngayon, yung construction costs, okay, construction costs, yung gagastusin niya, okay, let's say 80 million. Therefore, yung gross profit ni DC Builders sa project na yan is 20 million. Okay? Yung revenue na yan, yung 100 million, the transaction price or the contract price, pwede niya i-recognize using percentage of completion method or zero profit method. Okay? Wow, ang important dito, class, is the determination of the construction costs. Sir, paano natin malalaman if i-capitalize natin or i-expense natin? Ganun lang, class, yung concept niyan. I-capitalize mo if the costs are directly attributable to the project. To the project. Ano yung project? Yung condominium. Pag directly attributable siya, capitalize. Pag hindi, expense. Ganun lang siya. Ano yung mga directly attributable? Direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. For example, class, direct materials. Yung mga gamitin na cement, hollow blocks, steel, etc. Yung mga materials yan. Labor, bayad sa mga workers, bayad sa foreman, okay, bayad sa engineer, sa architect, kasama yan. Overhead, for example, insurance, okay, utilities, depreciation, yan. Capitalizable yun, okay? What else? Lahat ng chargeable to the customer and reimbursable. Okay, so lahat ng costs na chargeable and reimbursable from the customer, okay? Chargeable to the customer, reimbursable from the customer, kinakapitalize din yan. So, class, actually, yung concept na i-apply mo dyan, same lang sa concept natin sa IAS 16, yung costing sa PPE. Lahat ng directly attributable costs, ayun, yung mga i-capitalize mo. Got it? Okay, so, yan muna. And then, sige, diretso tayo dun sa handouts natin. Okay, so, kunin nyo yung handouts nyo, class. Skip muna natin yung theory portion, no? Dun tayo sa number 10 muna. LTCC number 10. Okay? Nakita nyo yan? LTCC number 10? Yung on January 1, 2022. Nakita nyo yan? Sige, sagutin muna natin. Computation yan. Using the cost-to-cost method, what is the realized gross profit to be recognized in 2022? Okay, so, saan ako pwede mag-erase? Dito ka na susolve. Tignan natin. On January 1, 2022, Company X was contracted to build an office building for Company Y. So, si Company X, siya yung contractor, si Company Y, siya yung client. Tama? For a total contract price of 11.8 million. So, underline mo yung contract price. So, basically, yun din yung transaction price natin. Ang tawag natin sa LTCC, contract price. Estimated total contract costs are 10.4 million. Ito yun, yung construction cost. Ang estimate niya, 10.4 million. Okay, costs incurred to date related to the project are as follows. So, tingnan natin, class, alin dito yung i-capitalize natin basically. Alin yung magpo-form part ng construction cost, alin yung i-expense natin. Isa-isahin natin per line item. Cost of direct materials used, of course, kasama yan. So, lagay mo yung check, 800,000. Cost of direct labor, including supervision. Yes, kasama yan. So, labor, sino supervise? Yung engineer, yung foreman. Kasama yan. Capitalizable yan. Cost of indirect materials used, yes, overhead. So, materials, labor, overhead. Costs incurred in obtaining the contract previously written off. Hindi, previous contract yan. Yung dati pa yan. Ha? So, expense mo yan, yung 280,000. Depreciation of equipment used on the project. Overhead. Tama? Overhead. So, kasama yan. Payroll of design, technical department allocated to the contract. Yes, yung mga design kasama yan. Necessary yan. So, check, 320. Insurance cost, 1/3 for the project. So, yung 1/3 lang. So, kumpitin natin. 720,000 divided by 3. Lagay mo dyan, class, 240,000. Yun yung capitalizable. Cost of contract, research and development. Yes, kasama yan. Okay, mag-R&D muna. Again, necessary yan para dun sa condominium building natin. Well, dito, office building.
Okay, depreciation of idle equipment not used on a particular contract, hindi siya directly attributable sa project. So, i-expense mo yan. Selling cost, hindi. OPEX yan, selling expenses. General and admin expenses, specifically included under the contract, chargeable to customer. Pag chargeable, okay, capitalize yan. Pag reimbursable, capitalize din yan. Borrowing cost incurred during the period. Yung borrowing cost kasama? Yes, sabi ko kanina, kung ano yung concept sa IAS 16. Di ba sa IAS 16, nakalagay doon, yung cost, doon meron separate standards yung borrowing cost, pero basically, yung borrowing cost, capitalizable siya. Okay? So, lagay mo yung check yan. Advanced made to subcontractors, nope. So, advances yan, hindi yan kasama. Okay, so add natin lahat plus 800,000, plus 600, plus 220, plus 480, plus 320, plus 240, plus 420, plus 120, plus 520. Nakuha niyo yung 3,720,000. Okay? So, yun yung cost natin. Okay? Yung contract cost natin. Dito ko sagutin. Yung contract cost natin, CC na lang, is 3,720,000. Okay? 3,720,000. Okay, so ganito yung class. Pag sinabing cost-to-cost method, ito yung cost incurred natin. Iyon yung numerator. Cost incurred over total cost. Nasaan yung total cost? Nandun yung class sa second sentence. Estimated total contract costs are 10.4 million. Okay, divide mo sa 10.4 million. So, ulitin ko, numerator mo, cost incurred over total cost. Okay, so ilang percent yan? 3,720 divided by 10.4 million. Ayun, 35.77%. So, 35.77%. Yun yung percentage complete na yung project natin. Okay? Ibig sabihin, class, yung revenue natin, in this case, yung 11.8 million, yung contract price na 11.8, ang pwede mo i-recognize dyan, yun, yung 35.77%. Got it? So, hindi ako magra-round off, ha? So, multiply natin by 11.8 million. Yung revenue na pwede natin i-recognize is 4,220,769. 4,220,769. Okay, so ganito lang gagawin ko dyan. Meron akong revenue, dito ko lalagay, revenue, which is 4,220,769. Meron akong construction cost na 3,720,000. Therefore, yung gross profit natin is, tingnan natin class. So, gross profit natin, 4,220,769 minus 3,720,000, 500,769. 500,769. Okay, answer natin class is letter C. Ganyan siya. Yung application ng cost-to-cost method, again, cost incurred, yun yung na-incur mo that year over total cost of the project. Okay? Nakuha natin yun, multiply natin sa 11.8 which is yung contract price. Ibig ito yung revenue natin. Revenue minus yung cost incurred natin, 3,720. We have gross profit, 500,769, letter C. Okay, so let's have a short break before we continue answering our handouts.